It's been over 6 months since COVID-19 interrupted our final production of the 2019 season, giving the Maltz Jupiter Theater an opportunity to turn lemons into lemonade. Hello everyone, I'm Andrew Cato, the producing artistic director and chief executive here at the Maltz Jupiter Theater, and welcome to Real Brief, our first streaming show created to keep you informed and entertained as we hit pause on our stage and build out the theater over the next year, leading to our grand reopening season. Today, with Halloween around the corner, we'll visit with the cast of one of last season's big hits. We'll also get a preview of next season's limited engagements, learn about the origin of a ghost light, and mix up a special cocktail. Welcome to Real Brief.
It's the Maltz Jupiter Theater's Real Brief, featuring the cast of Dracula, a comedy of terrors. Drinking with Jay. It's showtime with Dana Munson. And this month's Did You Know? And now, your host, Andrew Cato.
As you can see behind me, what used to be the Green Room Club Level Lounge is now storage in preparation of a $32 million expansion. The start date, originally scheduled to begin in April of 2021, next season, has been fast-tracked to now so that we can make use of the downtime caused by this pandemic to create a world-class facility here at the Maltz Jupiter Theater. With the closure of the Maltz Jupiter Theater and its season due to COVID-19, we are taking this time to make some big changes to our building. Right now, focus is on the pre-demolition work leading to the expanded and updated Maltz Jupiter Theater facilities. Beginning in June, staff started packing up the theater and putting the building's equipment, furniture, and supplies into storage. Our production team started pre-demo work by striking the set of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying and taking it to our production center in West Palm Beach for storage. Our production center is currently housing 3 completed sets, How to Succeed, I Hate Hamlet, and Sweet Charity, all waiting for when we can resume production as part of the 2021-22 season. Signs of change are also happening on the outside of the building. We have started removing existing landscaping, and our large Maltz Jupiter Theater sign has been taken down to be restored. Once the theater was prepared for demolition, the staff set up shop in temporary offices. This is where the detailed construction planning has been taking place. Our core construction team meets multiple times a week, reviewing plans, refining budgets, and making key decisions to keep the project on track. The finished project comes more into focus every day. Dramatic changes are up next with demolition beginning soon. As you have heard, our slogan for this project is turning lemons into lemonade. With some people heading to the bar to deal with the stresses that come with a pandemic, we thought it would be fun to introduce you to a delicious concoction whipped up by our very own box office manager, Jay Johnson.
Hey everyone! The lemon drop first squeezed to life in San Francisco in the 1970s with its boozy, tart, sweet melange. The lemon drop will soon become the Maltz Jupiter Theater signature drink, and I'm going to spill the secret on how it's made. Here are the ingredients you'll need: a citron vodka, some triple sec, some simple syrup, and they call it simple syrup because if you don't buy it in a bottle, it's very easy to make. It's 1 part sugar mixed with 1 part water, heated to boiling and let to cool. And then some freshly squeezed lemon juice. You can use stuff from the bottle, but I prefer to squeeze it myself. You will need a citrus squeezer because it gives a tartar, fresher flavor. So, we'll add the ingredients into a shaker that I've already filled with ice. What you need is 1 ounce of the fresh lemon juice, 1 ounce of the simple syrup, 1/2 ounce of the triple sec, and then 2 ounces of the citron vodka. Again, my handy dandy jigger The larger size is 2 ounces, the smaller side being 1 ounce. So I'm going to add 2 ounces of the citron vodka to our mixture. Place the cap nice and tight so you don't lose any of that delicious, bittersweet tart melange. And you're gonna shake, 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 shake. Again, you want to get it nice and cold. You can feel the outside getting very cold, so shake it as much as you can. And when you're done, just remove the cap. We've already got a built-in strainer and pour. To top it off, just a fresh twist of lemon rind, and you're all set. Enjoy. To get directions to make this drink, go to jupitertheater.org/cocktail_recipe. Enjoy.
Welcome to the 2021-22 grand reopening season at the Maltz Jupiter Theater. We have a brand new lineup of shows. An Agatha Christie whodunit. An American tycoon lies dead in his compartment with a locomotive full of suspects and an alibi for each one. It's the perfect mystery. Murder on the Orient Express. After that, a hapless romantic searches for true love in the Big Apple. Sweet Charity, featuring unforgettable classics like If My Friends Could See Me Now, Big Spender, and There's Gotta Be Something Better Than This. Then join us for this much-anticipated Tony and Grammy award-winning musical about the struggles and triumphs of making it big. Don't miss this hit Broadway musical so big, we can't tell you what it is yet. Followed by the hilarious comedy I Hate Hamlet. A legendary actor returns as a ghost to advise a rising star in the ways of stagecraft, sword fighting, and making love in this larger-than-life play. Ending the season with 2 charismatic con men who compete to swindle $50,000 from a naive heiress in the beautiful French Riviera. This Tony Award-nominated comedy will have you laughing and singing. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. For more information on this exciting season, visit jupitertheater.org.
And welcome to Did You Know? I'm Christina Renasco, the Maltz Jupiter Theater's Development Events and Special Project Manager. Did you know when a theater is closed, they will leave a single light on the stage called a ghost light? But why do theaters do this? There are a number of spooky superstitions about ghost lights. Some believe that every theater has ghosts. These ghosts can sabotage a show if the theater doesn't treat them just right. Tradition demands that theaters keep a light on when they are closed so that ghosts can perform on stage. The Palace Theatre in London keeps 2 seats in their balcony permanently bolted open for any phantom patrons that are dying to see a matinee. Others say that ghost lights are meant to keep ghosts away. In either case, seems like you should avoid going to the theater after hours, unless you really want to hear a spectral version of It's a Hard Knock Afterlife. A more historical origin of ghost light comes from the days before electric lights, when theaters would leave dim gas lights burning overnight to relieve pressure on the gas valves. Practically, ghost lights are also an important safety measure for modern theaters. A ghost light allows the crew to navigate the theater to find control consoles and avoid accidents. Why does the Maltz Jupiter Theater use a ghost light? You tell me. Did you also know that by donating the value of your tickets to the Stand By Us campaign, your support will be recognized on a naming wall in our lobby, and your same seats will be secured when you renew for the 2021-22 season? Please consider donating to the Maltz Jupiter Theater today.
1 year ago, we were in rehearsal for a world premiere play the Maltz Jupiter Theater commissioned entitled Dracula, a Comedy of Terrors. Bringing the writing talents of Gordon Greenberg and Steve Rosen to a project along with 5 amazing, multi-talented actors guaranteed the biting comedy to be a big hit. Let's take a look. Joining us today through the magic of the internet, I'd like to welcome the brilliant cast of Dracula, a Comedy of Terrors. Jared Zarilli, Mallory Newbrough, Paul Carlin, Wayne Leggett, and Peter Simon Hilton. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Andrew.
Hello.
Before we get started on this memory lane that we've put together tonight, I'm just wondering, how's everyone doing with COVID?
Where's my drink? Here to you.
You've only just started drinking?
Yes, please. Oh, my Lord.
Jared, I saw on Facebook, Jared, that your daughter was out pumpkin.
Yes, we
hunting.
did.
Pumpkining.
We went
Pumpkining.
pumpkining. It is nice to have like a very sweet, funny little person to carry me through these like crazy times. She doesn't get any of it. She just has the best time every day. And so we took her to the pumpkin patch with my parents and my wife. We had a blast. We went to the zoo this morning. So it's nice to be able to really be distracted from all the madness and just see this happy, pure person who drives me up a wall sometimes, but that I love so deeply, you know. But yeah, it's been good and just, you know, hanging in there, teaching and living.
Mallory, what have you been doing? You still down here in Florida?
I'm actually, for this Florida COVID season, I'm taking a break from Florida and I'm up in Maryland with my parents. So I too have been getting to spend time with my family, and I just came actually in from raking leaves with my dad earlier. And so, yeah, and I'm just appreciating, like, I also became an aunt recently about 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
And I'm a first-time auntie. Woo, thank you.
Very nice.
So, you know, COVID is allowing me to actually be able to go out and see my brother in Austin and have like a week to help out with the baby around like Thanksgiving time. And who knows what I would be doing if I had, you know, booked contracts down there at this point. But for the COVID season, I'm grateful for the church group that I sing in, because that's where the money's at.
We need
and
that.
It's always there, and it's a virtual choir, so it's how I've been making my way throughout this thing. It's at least something that I've been doing.
And Peter, you're with your lovely wife, I assume?
Yes, Vanessa Morosco, who's actually done a couple of shows at the Maltz. She did Disgraced and also Frost Nixon. We've been okay, actually. Apart from being holed up in our 1-bedroom apartment in New York, we've actually got my daughter up here for this week. She's doing school remotely. So she's sitting on one side doing her classes. She's 13. And we are on the other side. We're actually we're designing cartoons to train Japanese businessmen and women in unconscious bias training. So we're doing all these scenarios and narratives that sort of, you know, hopefully a little bit humorous as well, but also have a serious message to do with diversity and inclusion. But it's quite fun. It seems as though it's completely on the opposite side of theatre, but it's not actually. It's really close, because we're just making all these characters up, and they all have sort of funny walks, you know, like Paul had. and squinty eyes, like Mallory, and just to be gender equal there with my insults.
Anyone else doing anything creative to get through these difficult times in terms of
voiceover
raising
work
a
at
buck?
home?
Ah,
Just
okay.
doing
home.
Yeah,
Do you have a studio?
I built a little booth, and I'm not good at building anything, but it was like spend, $2,000-$3,000 and buy one, or spend a few $100s and try to put one together.
Yeah.
So the two dubbing studios that a lot of actors down here do, it's kind of like our day job. They gave us the specs on what kind of microphone to buy and what kind of pop filter and the little interface that goes into the computer, and that's like the only creative stuff that I've been doing. I had 1 week where I did some teaching outside of the house with a mask on and with a face shield, and I mean, it was insane. It was like, hermetically sealed monologue class. But I mean, thank God for the little tiny bit of work that's been augmenting the unemployment, because my wife, who works at home, is totally ready for me to get the hell out of the house.
Well, I think we all feel that, yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
So have you had to do any character work like you did on Dracula, or is it mostly commercial voiceover work?
It's all character work. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's whether it's like a Russian foreign film or Latin telenovela. Yeah, it's I don't get the crazy kind of Renfield like characters to do for stuff like this, but we're playing the nice guy and the protagonist one day, and then we're the gun runner who is trying to kill everybody the next day. So yeah, thank God for it. It's the only thing that's going on.
Yep.
For me.
How about you, Jared? What's going on with you with Broadway being shut down?
Yeah, it's wild because it's insane. But in a week or two, I'm going to be doing my first ever Zoom reading for 2 weeks of the new Susan Stroman musical.
Whoa!
Wow. They are Candor.
A musical.
Yeah, Candor and Ebb have done the music, and they are taking the Martin Scorsese movie New York, New York, and they're making it a musical. And I was actually doing it the day quarantine started. It shut down our reading, and I assumed nothing was going to happen until Broadway opened back up, but then they said they want to do a 2-week Zoom reading. So I'll let you know what that's like, because I have no idea. But I'm excited.
Play the saxophone?
No. But we'll figure it
soon.
That is so exciting.
And so we'll
see.
Good
for all of you. It sounds like everyone's staying pretty busy. I know, I can't believe that it's been actually a year since we were all together. And I thought it might be interesting for our viewers to ask a few questions about the process. And I think probably most people, when you're working on a new play, are curious to know what it was like to originate a character for a new work. I mean, you were playing multiple characters. Mallory, you want to give us your take on that?
Sure. I had the opportunity to kind of, I'd never had this opportunity before, and I had opportunities to play icons prior to that. So I had spent a lot of my career trying to very much mimic someone and become and have this thing to become. And when I didn't have this caricature to be and have this blank canvas to do with what I would, it was like all the options were open, and it was a very cool feeling. And it also, with Gordon, he allows you to do whatever, go as far as you go and as you can go, and then he'll pull you back if you have to. But it was like it felt like there was no limitations, is what the feeling was. And to have that freedom as an actor.
Who went the furthest? Who went the furthest out of all of you in terms of what Gordon needed to pull back?
That's a tough call, because so many people had been gifted so many different things throughout that script, like Renfield and his spinny spins, Harker and his
who knew?
Yes, and Harker and his petrified, and then Mina on her ramp, and then oh my gosh, And then Mina's arms. I think Mina's character was the most extreme.
Yeah,
I
think Paul got the opportunity to
Oh,
go
yeah.
the furthest. Don't you think?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was actually from the beginning. It was rather intimidating, or I would say scary, to be thinking, "Hey, hold on a second. Why am I the only guy that's playing girls all over the place here?" And after a while, I got into it. I mean, it was really fun, but it really was kind of like anytime I walked on stage, it's like, hold on, why am I in drag? Everybody else, but it was just so much fun to be able, as Mal was saying, I mean, and Wayne, the whole, the twisty twist, the whole Renfield turning hat thing, the whole going from Mina into Van Helsing and back constantly was such a joy because I also had these wonderful people, Chelsea and Jess and John backstage that were there just when I would go backstage completely blank and pouring sweat and going like, blah. And they'd be like, okay, turn around, and then push me back out.
Right.
So that allowed me to do all of that stuff. It was amazing.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there were so many funny moments in the show. I love the repartee and the dialogue where Dr. Van Helsing questions Jonathan Harker, Dr. Westfield, and Lucy Westfeld. Let's take a look.
Has anyone been out of the country?
I was in Eastern Europe.
Did you bring back any fruits or vegetables?
Just this garlic from the farmer's market in Bucharest, but she wasn't exposed to it.
Anything else? Maybe something from duty-free?
No.
Good. It's not that much cheaper anyway. Have you noticed anything or anyone unusual in the area lately?
Just the regular workaday English life. Soggy sandwiches, lots of rain, ghost ship washed up on shore. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Hold on, what was that?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
No, go back a word or two.
Shore, on, up, washed.
Continue.
Ship, ghost.
Ghost ship! The very thing. Was there a manifest?
Oh, yes, I found it on the beach. There was no cargo at all, apart from some birdseed, canned tuna, and 6 coffins of Transylvanian earth. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Hold on, what was that?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
No, go back a word or two.
Earth, Transylvanian, up.
Continue.
Coffins, 6.
6 coffins! That could be the key.
The key to what? The makeup counter at Selfridge's? This female medicine is not for me, I'm afraid. I'm going out to pick up some leeches and tapeworms and drain her evil humors like a real doctor.
So how much were all of you involved in shaping the dialogue and the script with all of that back and forth that you had? It seemed like it was pretty organic.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was organic, but I have to say that the script was really tight. And I think that, I mean, even on the very first reading, and I think a lot of what we had to do was drilling and becoming disciplined. And there was a lot of very fast articulation. So you had to be extremely clear, but at the same time, be very sort of like fluid as well. Because something might come the next day that was completely different, because Stephen Gordon's minds were just going, woo, like this. And every time they would come up with something new. But they never just threw something at us and said, oh, just do whatever you want. I mean, they always came with very clear ideas. Now, they were very generous and took everything that we wanted to give as well. And I would say that it was definitely collaborative. But there was
really
some pretty sharp minds.
From what Peter was saying about that kind of, we would take what they had written and they would see what we were doing with that. And the next day, we'd have different stuff. So it really wasn't stuff that we were improvising to say, okay, now put this into writing. It was really them being able to constantly be able to write into what they thought was best for what worked with the piece.
And Steve getting to sit in on all the rehearsals and just watch and sit at the computer and type. You saw his brain was going at all times. It was a fascinating process to be a part of, just to experience, just to see those two in action.
Was there a moment that was good in the rehearsal hall but great in front of the audience? Laughs that you didn't expect? Were there Surprising moments
I tell you,
when you finally...
When I was off stage looking at Jared and Mallory do their scene on the bed, the flop scene, I don't know what that was, but there was something there that yes, exactly, what they did with it, and I mean it was like bah, 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 bah. And it really just pushed it up a notch, that wasn't written there, but they just brought it up to where it was. It was so fun.
I think one of the
every time on stage.
I was going to say, I think one of the cool things is that we got to do this as a stage reading first before we got into rehearsal. And there were a couple of times in rehearsal, like that whole ending sequence when we were trying to figure out how to run somewhere, it was maybe we actually referenced, well, what we did in the reading was such and such. And then Gordon was like, yeah, and that worked.
Right.
It worked like a charm. Let's put that actually in the show and scale down whatever we were going to do that day that was going to be extensive choreography and running all over the place, got truncated down to just turn yourselves around.
Yeah.
Say the line, turn yourselves around. Say the line, turn yourselves around.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I guess it was the steps. It was the steps going down thing.
Yeah.
So even though it was a brand new original work, we had a little bit of reference because we had done it at least once almost before.
Yeah. I love in this version of the Dracula story, we got to see a different side of Count Dracula. In this next clip, Lucy Westfield has a heart-to-heart with Count Dracula, and he is, let's say, a little full of himself. Let's take a look.
From the time I was a child, I had to endure the scorns and ridicule of the other children in my village. I couldn't swing a cricket bat if my life depended on it. Also, they had never seen a boy in a cape. They bullied me, stormed my house with torches and horrible epithets. But I got my revenge.
How's that?
By becoming very good looking. Also rich. And immortal. That's pretty major.
Did you say...
But you can only drink and shop and sleep around for so long until it begins to feel like you've eaten too much dessert and you're rotting inside.
Oh, you poor thing.
Help me, Lucy. Help me heal. Share my life with me, the good and the bad. Celebrate the extraordinary. Bear witness to the mundane. And this is something I've never said to anyone before in my life. Tell me more about you.
I mean, well, I guess I've always wondered
Because the more I think about it, the more I feel I've known you forever. Be my bride, Lucy. Stand next to me. Preferably on my left because I'm told my right is more appealing. Run away and explore the world with me!
How dare you.
Jared.
Yes.
Jared, for all of those who did not see our version of Dracula, A Comedy of Terrors, what made your take on him different from those of Draculas that they'd seen before?
The version of our show, it was just the most hilarious, unique version of that character I'd ever seen written on the page, and that's all Steve and Gordon. And then they'd take not suggestions from me, but if I ever had an idea or a phrasing thing, they'd be like, "Yeah, it makes more sense that way." So they'd be flexible with the phrasing and little word choices, and so often I feel like those tiny things can make a joke land so much differently rhythmically, and so they let me run with it. Steve knew me pretty well for years, and so I think he had some ideas as he was writing it and knew the kind of comedy that I like doing. I love playing he doesn't even realize he's egotistical. He thinks everyone else is crazy, and that's my favorite kind of person to play. And so it was that kind of free reign, but with a great structure, like Peter said. I had to drill those lines because it's the best kind of challenge for an actor, where you have to do diction warm-ups to make sure that you can meet the material because it's so good.
I also love that you had a sensitive side too. I don't think that many people get to see that, or insecure, like Dracula always
really
seems to have his act together.
It's very easy for me to display insecurity. That comes very naturally to me.
Well, it worked. It was wonderful. Was there a moment in rehearsals that kept you all in stitches where you had trouble moving through the script? You know, did you ever get locked up by the humor even before the rehearsals were even finished?
Well, when we were on the bed with the chains and the Mina's. Oh wait, I get very confused because Mina's on the bed and I'm talking to her, but that's me, and I'm Van Helsing, and Hillary's on the other side of me, and we're both just going back and forth, and it was cracked me up all the time, and I would have to constantly get like I'm talking into the bed behind that big old bed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Trying to get a straight face before and as those guys were talking about drilling, so you had to know exactly when it was going away from the chain to go, and it was really difficult because it was cracking.
And be sure you're doing the right voice at the right time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Wayne, you had a lot of that too with the hat changes and the quick. Yeah.
I did. Yeah, go, Peter.
No, I always think that some of the most amusing things, for me at least, in comedic rehearsals, is when you discuss something sort of almost analytically, and you're saying sort of, so is it funnier if the arm is 2 feet long or if it's 4 feet long? And then Gordon would say, let's just switch the bed around, and then see, and it's all those conversations that I think are just so surreal. And amazing, because there's such a sort of a technical prowess to putting something like this together, but it's such enormous fun. But I love that sort of like humor and math next to each other.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm actually glad that you mentioned the technical side, because in one fantastical moment, using sound and light effects along with some stage magic, Jonathan Harker meets transformed Mina Westfeld. Let's take a look.
Right.
Hello? Identify yourself. Yes, that's me. Is that you, Mina?
Jonathan! Please help me. I'm so thirsty. I'm so very parched.
Actually, this look really works for you.
Please come closer.
I was told to keep my distance. The doctors were very clear about the dangers of infection, and I've no handy wipes.
You don't know what it is to be alone.
Okay, so we had a wonderful soundscape that was created by a wonderful designer, Victoria DeRorio, which almost became another character. What was it like, Peter, playing off of some of your scenes were played off of sound effects initially?
Yes, well, it was very organic in that way, because Victoria was out in the house, and she was there very early on, and she was she was sort of putting the sounds to what we were creating as well. And I remember that sequence in tech, and it was sort of like, I would put my foot down and she would say, okay, what about this sound? And then she'd come up with 4 or 5 sounds as to which one was the funniest. And then sort of, then there'd be a screech and there'd be a bat, and they'd say sort of, okay, so how many bats do we need? And then she'd say, what about 2? And you'd hear a sound for 2, and then they would come from one side. And so you were constantly, it was like Gordon was just dipping into a pot and saying, what about this? I want this, sweetie. No, I want this, sweetie. And it was amazing to do, it was very collaborative and very exciting, It's not often that you get a sound designer who's that talented to be able to react just in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Paul, you got to play 2 women in the shows you mentioned. For some reason, they made you play 2 women. Doing this, did you find a different side of yourself, or maybe a more feminine side?
Well, there's always a feminine side to myself. Yeah, I guess. I mean, here's the weird thing is like Steve was always coming to me. It's like, you are your mother, so I was just playing Franny. I was just that was pretty much both sides of the blanket. The German and the English side, pretty much the Franny side. But it was really Mina was. I remember when we first came into audition, and I did a kind of a Monty Python kind of, oh, what is it? Up at the head voice falsetto thing, and they said, "Oh no, let's let's see you just being it in your voice and see what happens." And of course, that becomes Mom, so that's who Mina became. But I
love it.
No idea where Van Helsing came from. I really don't. Just she came from a German accent, I think, is where she came from.
Mallory, you had to play the ingenue and then a wench at the same time. I mean, talk about flip sides.
That was the flip side.
Right. Where did you, I see where you get the ingenue from, but where did you get the rest of it from?
Well, the Transylvanian man. I had been a Russian doctor before in a play, and I played this Russian doctor. And then I just turned him a little bit octave down to find that. Took it a octave down. And then...
but the Hunchback, that's what we want to see.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, and that was so much fun doing the switching from Cockney to it was all English, but it was ranging from Cockney to RP,
Yeah.
Right.
So
she was very Mrs. Lovett-esque.
Very Mrs. Lovett-esque,
true.
and I liked the humor that they wrote for her. Like, remember when she said something like, "Go right ahead and see him. She's in the haunted room next to the python. See ya." And she she gets out of there, and she decks out. And so I just love how sharp. I just loved everything about doing it. And Lucy, of course, getting to work opposite of Jared was just
the best. It was much fun.
It was a joy and so much fun, and the whole time it was fun and just so alive, and it was amazing, the whole process.
Yeah.
Okay, we're coming up on Halloween. Did everyone bring their costumes? Let's see them.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you got, guys?
Let's see
Good
what you got.
Good costumes. I want candy. I'm ready.
I think Paul and I are going to be dating soon.
And Paul has the teeth. I love it. Oh, wonderful.
There she is.
Oh, tremendous. With the sexy hat on, Mallory. Come on.
I love it, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, the best.
What fun it has been spending time with all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. The cast, again, of Dracula at the Maltz Jupiter Theater. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Love you too, honey.
Thank you, Andrew. We love you
Thank
too.
you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
As you may know, the Maltz Jupiter Theater is known for its self-produced, high-quality plays and musicals. But we also offer a wide variety of one-night concerts and events that are on sale right now. To end the show today, we wanted to highlight our limited engagements for you, including featured performances by the McCartney Years, hailed by the original Beatles promoters as the best on the scene. You'll be clapping and singing to songs like Band on the Run, Live and Let Die, and I Wanna Hold Your Hand. Destination Motown, featuring the sensational Soul Cruisers with 4 lead choreographed vocalists delivering music from the Jackson 5, Smokey Robinson, the Four Tops, and other Motown greats. And finally, for all you out there who want to put on some purple attire and dance to the funky sounds of Prince, look no further than The Prince Project. You'll be singing songs like When Doves Cry, Little Red Corvette, and Purple Rain.
Up next, we're going to have a sample of all of our limited engagements this season. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, because it's showtime.
"76 unknowns are the candidates, with 110 more set to declare."
So just plan to sneak into all the voting booths and change the ballots with my magic black Sharpie.
We are trained to fight all battles, not parade around D.C.
Such a waste of time. That's what you're all about. Mama, if that's moving up, then I'm moving out. Yes, they sit at the bar and put bread in my jar and say, "Man, what are you doing here?" Oh,
yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away.
We've only just begun to live. In the leaves on the trees and the touch of the breeze, there's a pleasing sense of happiness for me. One more time. In the long run, ooh, I wanna tell you it's a long run. Yeah, yeah. Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Behind that mask you use, blue jean baby and lady, and it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind. Hey kids, shake it loose together, this
spotlight's hitting something that's gonna change the weather. I sat on the roof and kicked off the moss.
Thank you for joining us for this installment of Real Brief. We'll see you again next time.